Hi guys, it's Sammy and welcome back to the studio. If you didn't see my last video about the children's book that I illustrated, I'll link it up here. I went through the whole process of how I designed the book and painted the book and everything else, but I thought today it'd be fun to show you every single page that I illustrated and point out a couple of things that were either my favorite or something interesting about the painting process. So let's get started. Starting off with the cover. So it'll be like, this is the front and this is the back. I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I think I might actually get it framed. It will just kind of commemorate my first children's book illustrating experience. The one thing that I did different was after I scanned it in, I added a few little dandelion fluffs, just like on my iPad afterwards, because we talked about doing that before I finished the painting, but I forgot. And it's kind of hard to add like a white on top of watercolor, so I just decided to do it on my iPad after I scanned it in. So that's one difference between how the original looks versus how it is going to be on the actual cover. But here's the cover. This is based on the author and her actual kids, so the whole book will portray them. I don't have pictures or anything of like the title page and that sort of stuff because the formatter took little kind of cuts of some of the art that I made and then like repurposed them for those parts. So that's something fun that you'll get to see in the actual book once it's published. All except for one page that's a double page that has an illustration across the whole spread. Every page has a full page illustration and the words page has like a little icon illustration. So this is page 1. Every single illustration has hidden chicks. They're not super hard to find, but they're so fun. I just love it. I think that's my favorite part about the whole entire book. This page has 3, so that's definitely one of my favorite things on this page. I also really love this little truck with the strawberries, and I really love how this character is holding 2 popsicles. I just think that just adds to the story. And any sort of like story adding element will always be a favorite for me. And this is the little icon that will go on the opposite page with the words. It'll go in the corner. So it's a little tomato plant. So flowers and vegetables for the garden page. So this is the second illustration. This one brings a lot of like nostalgia and childhood memory for me. For some reason, fall really holds that for me. And so I really love this one for that reason. But my favorite part about this page, I think, would have to be the little wrestling kittens. I just think that is so cute. And I like how they turned out. There are also 3 chicks on this page. My other favorite part, though, I will have to say, is this little area. I just like the atmosphere and the way that the sky gradient and the leaves and everything looks. I like the way that turned out. This page I ended up using a little bit of white gouache here and here for the steam, just to make it pop a little bit more. I love painting steam. It's just so like free and whimsical and fun. And this is the little illustration that goes on the next page corner with the words. Little apple pie jam. The third illustration has my favorite chicks part, and I'm going to point them out to you because they're playing in the spilled juice. And I just think that is the most fun thing ever. And I just love how it turned out, especially this one where she's like little flapping her wings to get the juice off. I just love that idea. Whenever I first brought it up to the author, I thought of the idea and I presented it to her and she was like, I don't know, it's pretty messy. I mean, she was like, I want it to be messy, but maybe not that messy. And I was like, no, it's just so whimsical and fun and playful. And she was like, okay. And I painted it and I think we both ended up really loving it. So that part is my favorite part about this page, but I also really love the way this painting turned out because that is actually the author's grandmother's painting that I replicated in the painting, and so that was really fun. I included an ode to their favorite book that they read, and since this window is open, I had this little like wind with a flower and a butterfly come in just to add a small element of whimsy there. And I just did some little blocks for the word page illustration. These are the letters of the kids' names, and then mom, M for mom. The fourth one is a nighttime scene, And my favorite part about this one is for sure this rug. I just love the colors and the way that it turned out. I just think the colors really came together in this one. I also just had a lot of fun picking out all the colors because I didn't have like a reference photo or anything for this one. I just got to imagine the whole thing, and so that was actually really fun as well. I love the way these shelves turned out. I just think they scream like little boy's room, and I just think it's so cute, especially this little lion. Just deciding on all the colors and the fabrics and the patterns and everything that was going to go in this scene was really fun. And something just like silly that I added was this cat climbing the curtain. I just had a ton of fun painting this one. And for the words page, I did some cars that I illustrated, and then the words will go on top of them. So it's kind of like going across the bottom of the page, which is fun. Okay, I think this is actually my favorite spread, 2 pages that go together. So this is the illustration, and I just love this one. I just think it tells such a fun story, and it brings up a lot of baking memories that I had with my own mom, and so I love the way this one turned out, and there's so much fun happening in this one with the mess, and then the little cat in the cupboard, and the flowers, and I don't know, I just there was a lot of fun things to paint in this one. There's just a lot of like nostalgic parts of this one. I mean, even her apron is something that the author sent me a picture of, but I didn't realize until after I painted it that it was her grandmother's apron. And so there's just like a few little things like that that make this one extra sweet to me. And then its counterpart page, that goes with the words. The words go in the middle of this circle. And this, I just am obsessed with the way this turned out. I love the colors, and it just turned out like how I imagined it should. And so I love when that happens. And so I just really like the way these came out. This one I love because it reminds me of my sister. She loves butterflies, and when she first started pursuing becoming an artist, she did an artist residency in Greece, and she painted a mural with a butterfly popping out of a bubble, and that was what inspired part of this one right here. So this is the next page, and it's just, again, full of stories. So I just really love the ones that have a lot of things to say without the words. I just think that when the picture can tell a story that even goes beyond the words, I think I've succeeded as an artist. Something fun about this one is that this cup here, which actually did include in that circle from the previous page as well, the author actually asked me to paint this because her grandmother, again, she was very important to her, and unfortunately she's no longer with us, but she had given her this cup, and unfortunately it broke, and so she sort of just wanted me to memorialize it in a painting, and so I did that for her there. I also just really love this little vignette right here. This one was a special one to paint. And then I just decided, since they're taking a bath, to do a little rubber ducky for the little corner illustration on the words page. Okay, next is the double page, the one that has the illustration that goes across the 2 pages, and then the words actually go just on top of the picture. And so here it is. This one was really fun to dream about because when I first had the idea, I thought, oh, how fun would that be to paint? I thought of having the perspective be that you're closer to the butterfly and then you're looking down on the family. And when I first told the idea to the author, she was unsure, she couldn't fully visualize it. I said, just trust me, I think it'll turn out good. And she's like, okay. And she loves it. I think this actually might be her favorite page. So it's one of 2 illustrations that have the 4 of the whole family together. I think that might also be why she really loves it, but I think the colors and the butterflies and everything, I think, came together really nicely. There's also a couple of 4-leaf clovers in this one. Oh, and I've been forgetting to mention how many chicks are on each page. Most of them have 3. This one has 2. And the sunset part was actually inspired by a picture that she had taken close to her house. And so that's where the colors and this kind of sunset scene, that's where the inspiration for that came from. This is the other illustration that has the whole entire family. And I like this one. I think it just kind of reminds me of like a summertime picnic, or I don't know, it just feels like summer to me. And I love the way the sky turned out in this one. I really, really did not want to cover it up with this tree. So you can see I sort of like made it a little bit more of a sparse tree rather than a full tree, because this side of the sky was just, I love the way the little pink clouds turned out. I also really love my little squirrel that I added right here. Just a little something. But the cutest part about this one to me is how the chicks are playing like slide on the dog. That was just a fun idea. And then I wanted the cats to be in a little bit of mischief. So for this one, for the little icon with the words, I did a purple butterfly because the author's oldest son likes to tell stories about a magical purple butterfly. So we decided to include that with this one. The next one I had a lot of fun with, and I feel like I learned something from it because I had an idea of how I thought it would work. So here's the painting. And my idea was I wanted it to feel like a shadow and then the light beam. I wanted that to come across, but I didn't want it to look too dark. And so I thought that if I put the wash of color for everything, and then I did a light wash of yellow over it, and then like a darker grayish purple in the shadow part, that it would really come through. And I did a little test swatch to see if my idea would work, and it did. And so I was really happy that that worked, and that how I pictured it to be, it was. So I like painted this whole green first, and then I did the gray and purple wash on around, and then the light yellow inside. And I think it really indicates the light and shadow really well, and it doesn't make, I didn't want it to feel really dark. I just wanted it to indicate the light and the shadow so you could still see everything that was going on. So I'm really happy with that. And my favorite part about this one is the little shadow on the back wall behind the chick. I just think that turned out so cute. And there are 2 chicks on this page. And so this will probably not be a surprise, but the little icon with the words is a pair of flashlights, which I think I ended up having it turned like this. And the last page, I wanted it to feel just really happy and like a nice little moment that was, I don't know, I just felt like this was a nice closing moment. It just sort of feels like love to me. So, and I wanted to, at first I didn't have these bubbles or these flowers, but I just wanted to add a little bit more color and whimsy, and I think it turned out really cute. And there is one chick on this page, and the author had the idea of where to hide this one, and I think it is so funny and cute. So I like that aspect of this one as well. Something I decided to do on this one was to keep the sky a really warm tone. I wanted to indicate that it's later in the day and maybe even later in the year. And I really like how that turned out. I didn't want to feel pressured to make it blue. And at first I thought, oh, I don't know if that'll come across well, but I really like how it turned out. So, and then the icon page next to it with the words, this is way bigger than actually will be in the book. I did another hot air balloon to go with the hot air balloons. And so that is all the art for the book. The book is called A Place for Everything, and I really can't wait for you to see it and read the poem that inspired all this art. It truly was such an honor and a dream to be a part of this project, and I really can't wait to get the book in my hands and flip through it and just savor this kind of dream come true moment. So please let me know if you have any questions about anything in the comments, and I want to thank you so much for watching, and I really can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye guys!